Although the weather can't make its mind up outside, I do promise you we're in the summer term, and it's the first podcast of the summer term here at Parkside Academy. Hello and welcome back to the Raedwald Trust Podcast. I'm Harvey Bell. Today I'm joined by the head teacher here at Parkside, Kirsty Osborne. And we've got so much to discuss today. We're going to be talking about Parkside, we're going to be learning about Ipswich Hospital School as well. But first of all, thank you for joining us, Kirsty.
You are most welcome, Harvey.
Excellent. And I guess what we should start with really is talking about Parkside, as that's where we are today. And to start with, I wonder if you could tell us about the Parkside pathways and what they involve.
Yeah, so just to clarify, Parkside itself is a multi-site URM, and we have two sites. One is Ipswich Hospital School and one is Parkside on Lindbergh Road. And the placements that we have are described as pathways. We are commissioned by the local authority, and as a result of that we respond to need on a yearly basis, and therefore our pathways or placements change every single year. So for this academic year, we've offered a range of pathways, mostly called Haven pathways.
Okay.
Those pathways are both full-time and part-time, which means they are fractional, and they can be single role or dual role. If they're dual role, it means that they are shared with a child's home school, which means we have joint responsibility for the education package of a pupil. We have other Haven pathways, they're all called Haven, so it's a little bit confusing sometimes. So other Haven pathways where we simply work as a transition model to support a pupil back into their home school to reintegrate, or it might be a new home school that they're reintegrating into. In terms of the pathways, they are responsive to the needs of the pupils and that of the local area. So they're linked to the outcomes are around progress, engagement, reintegration, or perhaps it might be that they are sitting their final exams with us here at Parkside, and they can do that with their single role or dual role. It's a conversation with the home school.
So you sort of answered my question there in the approach to welcoming new students to the academy. Because am I right in thinking a lot of students have been permanently excluded from other schools? Is that?
Yeah, so I think that many pupils find their way to Parkside through many different avenues, in a sense, and it might well be that they might have been permanently excluded, or they might be at risk of exclusion, or they might have had two permanent exclusions, which might lead them to a full-time pathway with us. There's a whole host of things that happen before they start.
Yeah.
So prior to them even joining the pathway, we meet with the home school if they've got one. We seek to understand what has led to the difficulties or challenges that they might be having at the moment, so that we can make sure that we understand the child before they join us. We also speak to the families as well. We do a home visit, we make sure we meet the child, we make sure that we have a chance to hear the pupil's voice, hear the parent's voice, and we put all that information together before they even start with us. And then prior to them joining, they go through the assessment centre, which can be sort of 1 to 2 weeks depending on need. Now our assessment centre is where pupils spend time with dedicated members of staff that seek to understand what their barriers to learning are. They might carry out assessments with them. They would understand what their preferences are, how they like to work, if there's perhaps any additional barriers maybe. For example, we could do different assessments with them. It might be that they find the glare of the paper difficult, and therefore we could do an Erling's test. Lots of different things. And once they leave there, what we have is a really robust report that will tell us exactly what we should be doing to work with this child effectively. And then we carry that plan on. It's called a student support plan. So they go through induction. That then comes to the school, our staff have that, and then we build on that every 6 weeks, where we talk to the students and the schools about their progress.
Okay, so I was going to ask you if you sort of had to remove any prior knowledge of perhaps challenging behaviour from students before they join the school, but it actually sounds like that makes up a lot of your learning plan for them when they join here. So I guess the more knowledge you have, almost the better.
Yeah, I definitely think that their knowledge is obviously key, but it is a fresh start. And so it's not that we ignore the knowledge, we use the knowledge, but we do focus on reset, relationships and trust to be able to meet their needs.
And how adaptable do you have to be within that? Because I guess like when a student comes here, there'll be good days, there'll be bad days, or maybe they revert back to some of the bad behaviours they've shown before.
Mm-hmm.
How do you have to adapt to be able to cope with that and provide the support that's needed?
So I think that all our staff understand that behaviour is communication.
Yeah.
So whatever behaviour they are displaying, whatever day that is, they're trying to communicate something to us. And so we need to approach that with, our positive relationship approach and our positive behaviour policy or relationship policy. And that is through consistency, really clear rules, really clear structure, and making sure that children feel safe within that structure.
Excellent. And it's been really good to hear about all of Parkside's different approaches to different students. That brings an end to section 1 of the podcast. We'll come back after a short break.
There are so many great things happening here at the Raedwald Trust. Too many to fit into just one episode of the podcast. If you would like to hear more about what our academies get up to each and every day, then head over to our Instagram and Facebook pages. And if you're loving the content you're watching right now, don't forget to subscribe to the channel by pressing that big red button underneath this video. Now back to the show.
Welcome back to the Raedwald Trust Podcast. I'm at Parkside Academy today with head teacher Kirsty Osborne. We've been chatting today about Parkside's approach to taking in different students. I want to find out a bit more about what a day in the life looks like at Parkside though, Kirsty.
Okay, so I think I guess people probably want to understand both what it's like to be here on the ground and also what kind of diet or curriculum diet that our pupils receive as part of their placement with us. So a typical day is based on structure and routine. There's a balance of academic learning, pastoral support and personal development.
Okay.
So all our programmes of study, our subjects are derived from national curriculum. So we offer English, maths, science, citizenship, RE, PSHE, food technology, PE, music, art, daily reading. There's so much on there that I sometimes forget. We do have a couple of things that we don't currently offer, and they're conscious decisions to omit them from the timetable. So they're currently modern foreign languages and English literature. So for our pupils that have a particular flair for a modern foreign language, that's something that we support through their home schools. But actually, in terms of our pupils at the moment, it's more important that we focus on English for those pupils at the moment. But where there was a need, we could also look at being able to offer that as well. ICT as well. We also offer ICT. So alongside sort of the core vocational and personal sort of development, we also include regular opportunities to make sure that they experience these subjects in the real world as well, through trips, visits, experiences and projects. So it's not just about the relevance of those, but it's about the relevance of those to their lives. The learning isn't just sort of academic, and through those experiences linked to their subjects, we try and build cultural capital, real world understanding, and sort of raise their aspirations. And I think that, so there's a couple of examples that I could talk about. So as part of RE, we've had our chaplain in as well to be able to answer questions, but we've also done visits to different churches and religious buildings to talk to different religious leaders, so that they can look at those in the real world. Some children probably have never stepped in a church or a mosque before in their life, or probably knew what a chaplain was. So it gives them an opportunity to not only be able to see what we're talking about in real life, but also potential careers within in those sort of areas as well. We also offer citizenship, like I said before. And one of the really sort of standout visits we've probably had this year was the trip to the courtroom.
Yes,
and,
I saw that on the social media.
Yeah, so the children thoroughly enjoyed that trip, and I think their behaviour was impeccable in terms of the fact they were in a courtroom, and they were very well briefed about what they can and can't do in terms of being in the courtroom. And I think it was really important for those to see that in action.
Yeah.
They were able to talk to the judge, they were able to see the different roles, and it fit into the real world learning of their citizenship projects that they've been doing. So that's been really good.
That's all really exciting, and the thing is, I've been to court once, so I must say...
I've actually never been to court, so I actually wouldn't know what it was like.
it was in the media gallery. I was part of the media, not for any other reason.
Thanks for clarifying.
Yeah, but it was really, it was exciting too, because as you say, there's so many things there. You've got the judge, the barrister, and it's almost mind-boggling to see what goes on there. But as you say, it's just exciting, for the students to be able to take what they learn in the classroom and apply it in the real world.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing that has been happening at Parkside over the last, I want to say 12 weeks, is the Awe and Wonder programme. Now, can you explain to us a little bit about what that is? I've been lucky enough to sort of be here on some Thursdays when it's been going on, and I've seen it firsthand, but maybe you could explain.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Awe and Wonder programme was 12 weeks, so well remembered.
Yes.
So it's been a highly sort of personalised initiative that was developed with the Raedwald Trust and in partnership with Luke Chambers Academy and the Harmonious Society. So I think what's made it really unique is that it's been built with sort of the pupils in mind. So it's been built for them. It's been shaped around their interests, their experiences, and their sort of their individual needs, really. So at its core, the programme's really focused on developing resilience and the person as a whole person, looking at their aspirations, supporting their confidence, experiencing new activities, working as a team. And I think that they've had lots of strong role modelling from some really experienced coaches and mentors in conjunction with our staff as well. And I think it's created a really safe, non-judgmental space where the students can really be themselves. So I think over the 12 weeks, I'll give you a quick whistle-stop tour through kind of what they've done, and probably not every week because every week has been really good, but they've covered a lot of ground, I think. So obviously week 1, setting the scene, understanding who the children are, what we can offer or what they could offer them, and how to build that sort of programme around that. Sort of week 2, they looked at things like emotional control, team identity, and their competitive sort of character and nature. So that was an interesting one. So week 3, they looked at money, investments, how to invest, I suppose, and understand money a little bit more, which is obviously really important, particularly if you're going to go into business or anything. So week 4, again, a little bit more about money, future decisions, management, and this has always been paired with kind of team activities. So it might be football, it might be badminton, it might be paddleboard. Is it paddleboard? It was called paddle. It's just paddle, isn't it?
Paddle. They're two different things. Paddle
Not
is
paddleboard,
like
paddle.
Yeah, paddle is the adaptation on tennis and squash.
I'm glad
whereas
you know what
paddleboard
it
is
is.
on the sea. So I don't think they've been on the sea,
they've
have
not
they?
been on the sea, yes, so
No.
don't worry about that. Whew, they've definitely not been on the sea. So I think week 5 they had a cooking competition, and it was all around eating like an athlete, and they had to research the different requirements that different athletes had, and then to be able to create a meal with that type of whatever the breakdown is between proteins that a particular athlete would need. Not that I would probably know that. And I think sort of week 6 and 7, it was around routine structure, responsibilities. Week 8 was sort of creativity. Week 9 was around team challenge. And through this, they did things like Alton Water, bike riding. And week 11 was connection and teamwork, sort of bringing that all together. And then week 12 was reflection, where they had sort of a celebration and sort of positive sort of transition to the end of it, really. And they all went go-karting, and I believe you were there for that. So you probably...
I was, and came comfortably last, I might add.
Yeah, I'm not sure I would have been any good at that. So yeah, I think it has really helped to see for the children to see the world a little bit differently and themselves in it. I think so. The focus has been really on raising aspirations, improved behaviour, stronger relationships. So essentially, you can't become what you can't see. So I think it's really important to be able to role model to children either through the curriculum or through a project, or through trips, visits, experiences, etc. What is possible for them. And I think at every point, what we've always wanted is for anything that we do at Parkside, whether that be the Awe and Wonder programme, whether that be our curriculum, is to make sure that everything is both the mirror and the window. So they can see themselves in everything that we do. They belong, they're here, they understand it, they know they fit. But also the window is to look out and see what else is out there that they could get involved in, or future them,
Yeah, and I think that's very evident. I mean, we talk about the church visits, the chaplain, obviously going to court and seeing the judges, Joe, Luke and James, who have been doing this, are all positive role models. And I was going to ask you why role models are so important, but you've answered that, which almost sort of brings us to the end of section 2 now. So we now have learned sort of Parkside's different approaches to different students. We've learned about day-to-day at Parkside, but we're also going to learn after the break about the Ipswich Hospital School and the hospital school provision as well. So we'll be back in just a few seconds. Hello and welcome back to the Raedwald Trust Podcast. I'm joined today by Kirsty Osborne, head teacher at Parkside Academy, and actually also you're involved with Ipswich Hospital School, aren't you?
Yeah, so also the head teacher of Ipswich Hospital School. Like I said in the beginning, Parkside is a URN which was split into different sites. So at Ipswich Hospital School, it's based out of the children's ward, so we provide education to all key stages of those children that are admitted on the ward. So it could be 4 to essentially 18. Historically, we can see up to around 750 children a year, so that's quite a large number of children. We have a team of teaching staff who are based at the hospital. They can either teach children inside the schoolroom, or they can go onto the ward if they're too poorly to come to the schoolroom, or if they've got other challenges around attending the schoolroom. So our hospital curriculum is built around continuity, essentially.
Yeah.
So it's wherever possible, we will use the child's homeschool curriculum, so whichever school they come from, but we also have a Raedwald Trust curriculum as well. So when they're first in there, we'll make contact with the school. If the school are able to send us what that child's working on in good time, then we're able to use their curriculum and continue that on for them, and liaise closely not only with the school but all the other professionals in the hospital as well to create that timetable. And also we have the Raedwald Trust curriculum, which means that we can work with them immediately. There doesn't have to be any time lost in being able to work with a child. So in terms of the team, they work with the medical professionals that are on site there, but also the play team. I guess throughout the day they have to navigate different things that are happening. They might have the clown doctor in, they might have different medical treatments that the children are having. So it's about being really flexible but offering the continuity of their education as well. So I think that's probably how best to describe it really. I think there's lots of, as I've probably said, there's lots of extensive multi-agency working between our staff and not only members of the hospital school team, not the hospital school but the hospital team, but also the home school. They also work with Parkside staff as well in terms of safeguarding and any other professionals that sort of are involved in that child's sort of journey really.
And I might sound really naive by asking this, because I'm fortunate enough to never have had to spend a prolonged amount of time in hospital, and certainly when I was in education, certainly nothing like that at all. So I wonder when a student might have to access hospital school. This isn't necessarily when a student might miss a week of school because of a broken arm. This is for longer term. No, you're right. It is not for longer term. So, there's two sort of aspects to it really. So the staff in the hospital currently, they would, any child that came into hospital, it could be a broken arm. Yeah. It could be that they're in for a day because they bumped their head and they need observation. But it could also be day surgery, or it could be that they're unwell and we don't quite know what's wrong with them at the moment, or it could be children that come back often because they're undergoing treatment. I think if we talk about sort of the mix of children that we have at the hospital school, that probably give you a good idea of how that works really. So pupils can access the hospital for a variety of reasons, and for the most part they do not remain long term. So 45% of the pupils that attended our hospital school attended for one day only. Yeah. So they were in, they were seen, they were diagnosed, they were out again. Okay. So that's a 45%, so almost half the children that come in were only there for a day. Yeah. And we have had children that have stayed for up to 6 weeks. We also have children that are returning patients. I think about 26% of the children this year are children that are known to us and that are coming back in. So 26% of the children are returning children, so children that are known to us and children that we are sometimes expecting in because of their treatment, or sometimes children that we know might come in again but we don't know when they're going to come in again. So that accounts for like 26% of the children. The percentages I'm quite taken back by. I'm surprised that sort of 26%, only 26% people are students that you know about. How challenging is it to keep them on track? And is it perhaps harder to keep students on track that you obviously don't know the other 74% of people coming in, because you don't necessarily know their background straight away or sort of their academic achievements so far?
Yeah, so you're absolutely right. I think that when children join us, pretty much like the assessment centre for other pathways, the hospital school pathway, we do a really quick assessment with them, and that's around reading fluency, depending on the age of the child. If they're much younger, we'd be looking at doing something else with them. But so in terms of that, we're able to establish really quickly where we think they are. We can talk to they're often in with their parents, we can talk to parents, we can talk to their home schools and find out more information about them. Like I said, we've got a Raedwald Trust curriculum that's ready to go, so for any key stage there's like a directory in terms of what we're able to offer. We offer the full range of the curriculum for those pupils, and so we can work with them straight away, and then we're able to feed back to their home schools and say what they've been able to do with us. For children that stay in for sort of 3 days or more, which that there are quite a few that do that, they also get a student support plan where we write down everything that we found out about that child, so that we can support the schools when they go back in, and so that they understand what it is that they've been doing. I mean, and on the flip side, if the schools are really responsive, and it might be with our returning pupils, they know they're coming back.
Yeah.
And so they might provide work in advance, or they might provide us with where they're already at and what, what stage they are within their curriculum. So I think that the staff there are amazing, because they have to be super organised, super flexible and reactive to meet the needs of those pupils. And they work with such a range of primary schools, high schools, special schools, because not everybody that accesses Ipswich Hospital might be in the local area. So there's a lot of work to do in terms of that. But they are normally short stay pupils with some returning pupils. And those returning pupils, they might just be a child that we know before. They might have been in because they bumped their head one day and they were really poorly another day, and that might not be related. But also we'll have children that perhaps are suffering from disordered eating, or perhaps other things where we know they're going to come back more often. So it's just about being really flexible, really.
Yeah, so it sounds very much like what you were saying at the top of when people come into Parkside Academy, and just taking a really individual approach to every student. But I'll ask you one final question before we wrap up today's podcast. What can you learn from being here at Parkside on Lindbergh Road to being in the Ipswich Hospital School as well, and vice versa? What can you take from both and sort of benefit each other?
So interestingly, not all staff, but some staff work across both.
Yeah.
So that's that's not what I can learn, but I also learn from my staff, obviously. So I think at the hospital school, it's probably flexibility, patience, trauma awareness, and I think here probably exactly the same, but also structure and engagement strategies.
Yeah.
More so, I think that children at the hospital school are more readily perhaps wanting to engage when they can, and their reasons for disengagement are very different. So it might be that they're really too poorly to engage with education that day, but pupils at Parkside would have to work at engagement strategies, because their reason for not engaging would be quite different, I think. So I think whatever the location, whether it's Parkside, whether it's Ipswich Hospital School, or whether we're out in the community, because not all our children who attend Parkside actually attend site, so we can work peripatetically as well. I probably should have said that in the beginning, but So I think that for all of them, we are rebuilding confidence, restoring trust, and helping young people to see a future that they can believe in.
Excellent, and I think that's a really nice note to leave it on. It's been really good to sort of learn today about Parkside, everything they do, the approach to different students that come here, and also about Ipswich Hospital School as well. So Kirsty, thank you so much for being on here today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you so much for watching as well. I hope you found this insightful. No doubt we'll be back very soon with the next episode of the Raedwald Trust Podcast. But for now, subscribe down below, leave a like on the video, and thank you for watching. Goodbye.